Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into this one. All right, man, there's a bunch of players out there in the portal already, almost 1,000. And I'd say we're going to wind up with 2,000 or 3,000 when it's all said and done. I think that's about what it was last time. So it might even be more. It's crazy. There's so many players in the transfer portal. And I have made a bunch of notes over ones that I want for the Vols to get, or at least look hard at. All right, now obviously wide receiver is going to be an issue because we've got Cedric Tillman, who'll be going to the NFL. We've got Hyatt, that's probably going to go to the NFL. I would if I was him. I wouldn't blame him a bit. We've had 2 wide receivers that are transferring, so that's 4, and also a tight end. So that's 5 receivers that we're going to have to replace. And we don't have that many coming in the freshman class, obviously, and you don't want to rely on freshmen. So we need to be picking up some wide receivers, and there's a bunch out there that are really good. We'll go over a small sampling of ones I think they should take a good hard look at. We're going to start off with Theo Weiss. He is a wide receiver that is at Oklahoma. As you can see, he's a 5-star. He's obviously not happy at Oklahoma. He was the number 21 prospect back in the day in 2019, and he's a guy that might could have his career sort of resurrected, a la Brew McCoy. You know, he's worked out pretty well for us. So here's the thing. You're going to have to take some chances on some guys that maybe haven't worked out where they're at for whatever reason, whether it's Alabama or Georgia or whatever, Oklahoma. But also you're going to have to get some proven guys too, and they're working on that. I know they are. A couple of guys that Heupel knows or knows of. But I have no problem with them taking a risk on a 5-star.
I don't care. You make mistakes, make them big. I'm not going to eat your lunch for that.
Because if you hit big. So that's a guy to definitely take a look at. Another fella is JoJo Earl out of Alabama. He's a wide receiver there for the Tide. As you can see, he was a very high 4-star. He was the number 47 player in the country in 2021. He hasn't really gotten on the field a whole lot for Bama, and I think he'd be a guy to take a good hard look at because if Bama picked him up, the guy can catch the ball. You know, he's a top 50 guy, so I'd be looking hard at the Bama dudes. There's about a dozen of those guys, and some of them on the offensive line that I'm very interested in because we need a tackle. We need probably at least 1, maybe 2 offensive linemen. We need at least 2 or 3 wide receivers. We're going to need as many defensive backs as we can get, and maybe a linebacker as well. So let's continue with the wide receivers. Now here's a fellow that's got ties to Josh Heupel, and this is Ryan O'Keefe out of University of Central Florida. And the reason that I'd have interest in him is, first of all, Heupel knows of him. He had 73 catches for over 700 yards last year, so he's a proven commodity. Now, he was a 3-star coming out, but look, you know, when a guy goes out there and catches 73 balls, that's a guy you can count on, and he's done it against quality competition. Now, granted, he hadn't done it in the SEC. I understand that, but look, 73 catches is a lot, and I would think Heupel would know this guy pretty well. He did recruit him. So I think Ryan O'Keefe would be a definite possibility. Here's another fellow, Ra Thomas, which I believe they have offered him, and he's a wide receiver out of Mississippi State. He's had 44 catches, over 600 yards. Now, again, this is a guy that's caught over 40 balls in a year, and he did it in the SEC. So he clearly is a good player, and I would have no problem at all getting him on our team. I think Heupel could do a lot with him. He's real quick and elusive, got great hands, and would be a great pickup for us. And another quality wide receiver that I'd love for us to get is Dominique Lovett out of Missouri. He is an excellent player. He had 56 catches, over 800 yards. He is very quick, great hands, another just super quality wide receiver that has proven it in the SEC. So I think he'd be a great pickup as well. So there's a lot of wide receivers out there. So I'm not terribly concerned about it. I just know we need some, and they need to be either high quality, proven commodities, or guys that are really high 4 or 5 stars that I think Heupel could get squared away, kind of the way that he did Brew McCoy. Now let's get into what I think we need more than anything, which is defensive backs and cornerbacks. Now here's a guy that I think could get on the field very quickly for us. It's a Denver Harris out of Texas A&M. He is a 5-star. He was the number 23 player in the country last year and plays cornerback. And yes, I know anytime you take on a transfer from another team, especially one that hadn't really played a whole lot, you know, you're taking a bit of a risk. But if you're going to take a risk, again, you might as well take it on a 5-star. This guy, I think, would be a real quality pickup for us. And again, I think he would play immediately. And if you're out there, Denver, hey, I know you had an issue or two at Texas A&M, but look, this is a great culture here, and I think you'd get on the field immediately. So we need cornerbacks, so strongly consider it. This is a cornerback out of Virginia, and he's entered the transfer portal. He's actually a pretty good cornerback. I think he'd be a nice pickup for us. Here would be another fantastic pickup, Tony Grimes, who is a 5-star cornerback at North Carolina. As you can see, he was the number 28 player in the country, and he's in the transfer portal. I'd be going hard after this guy, 5-star. Again, remember that name, Tony Grimes. And we also have J.Q. Hardaway out of Cincinnati. This guy was a 4-star on 247, was 192nd player in the country. And Cincinnati actually has very good cornerbacks on a pretty regular basis. A couple of them went to the NFL last year. So I think this would be another quality pickup for us. The reality is we need to stack cornerbacks like cordwood over there. Just stack them up. We need depth and we need quality. And I think any of these guys would be great pickups for us. So that would be my first priority. I know wide receiver is really important and we need those too, but those defensive backs, man, that's where our weakness is. And just like in golf, you need to work on where you're weak, whether that's your short game or your iron play or whatever. Well, in football, it's exactly the same way. Whatever your weakest spot is where you need to spend a lot of time, because teams really took advantage of our defensive backs last year and just burned us. I also feel like we need some help in linebacker. Good linebacker play is it's really helpful. It can stop a lot of problems. And here's a guy that I think we need to be looking at strongly. This is a linebacker out of Oklahoma, Clayton Smith. He's 6'5", 228. He's obviously probably a little bigger now. He's a redshirt freshman. He was a very high 4-star, almost a 5-star, number 38 in the country. He has entered the transfer portal. I think he would be great on the edge or at linebacker. Of course, that's really one and the same almost these days. Those are just some of the players that are out there that we need to be looking hard at, because if we could get a good chunk of those, I think we'd be a long way to fixing that defense and taking care of a wide receiver issue. So hopefully Heupel and the boys over there are shopping right now, and they're shopping hard, and they're on the phone and on social media and connecting with these folks and saying, look, don't be committing to anybody until you talk to us. So that's as far as wide receiver, defensive backs, and possibly a linebacker. Those are our biggest needs, I think. We'll talk about quarterback probably in another video. I'm not 100% convinced on Joe Milton, and here's the thing. You don't want to be stuck next year with a quarterback problem. That would not be a good situation. So I think the Vols ought to at least consider bringing in somebody, if not in the next few weeks, maybe after the bowl game, depending on it. And look, if Joe plays great, maybe we're okay. But if he plays average, they're going to be looking at I think they'll be looking to bring somebody in as a stopgap until either Nico or Jackson can take the job. Or hopefully Joe plays great and it won't matter. But I'm not convinced on that just yet. So I'll probably cover the quarterbacks in the next video. Oh, crap. I almost forgot offensive line. We need 1 or 2 offensive linemen. There's some good ones out there. And we're going to let Alabama solve that problem for us, because they've got some real good offensive linemen that are in the transfer portal. This first guy, Tommy Brokermeyer, is an offensive tackle, almost 300 pounds. Let me show you this. Look at that rating, 5-star, number 6 in the country, and he's not playing. He's not able to get out there so much because it's Alabama. Alabama! That's a 5-star we need to get. I would just make him a priority, and I would get him because, man, a 5-star offensive tackle, we can make that work. And he'd probably get to play quite a bit. And here's another big-time offensive lineman, Amari K-I-G-H, I guess that's Kite. 6'6", 315 pounds. Look at this, super high 4-star, was a top 100 player, offensive tackle again. Man, I'd like to have some more offensive tackles. You cannot have enough offensive tackles because you can always move those guys to guard if you have to, but you can never have enough of those to protect your quarterback. It's just critical. That's the most important position on the offensive line. I know some people think maybe center because the center's out there kind of moving the pieces around, but man, you got to have protection on the outside because those edge rushers will kill you.
He'd kill you.
All right, folks, those are some players that I think the Vols need to really be going after and strongly considering and contacting. So I'm sure Josh Heupel is doing exactly that. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.